everybody. I'm Julie Savarino. Welcome to my very first live stream. It's titled Live Streaming and LinkedIn Live Top 5 Lessons from a Newbie. That's me. I am a novice live streamer. Well, I couldn't be more excited to introduce you to my master instructor and coach, who is an excellent live stream strategist and teacher. Her name is Jillian Whitney, and I want to introduce her to you now. Jillian, thank you for coming. Well, I wanted to quickly mention that I happen to be live streaming from Ann Arbor, Michigan today. I'm wondering where all of you are live streaming from. And all you need to do is click over and type in a comment and tell me where you're live streaming from. Jillian, where are you today? All right, I'm starting over. Hello, everybody. I'm Julie Savarino. Welcome to my very first live stream. It's on LinkedIn Live today. And the title of the stream is Live Streaming and LinkedIn Live Top 5 Lessons from a Newbie. And yep, that newbie is me. I am a novice live streamer, and this is my very first live stream. I am absolutely thrilled to be joined by my master instructor and coach, Jillian Whitney. Jillian is a premier live streaming instructor and strategist, and I'm thrilled to have her here. Jillian? Well, before we start, I want to quickly ask you to go ahead and let me know where you're streaming from by putting it in the comments. I'm personally streaming from Ann Arbor, Michigan today. Jillian, where are you streaming from? Oh, great. How is the weather? Great. For all of you, if you either have a question or want to put in where you're live streaming from, just go ahead and throw those in the comments. Okay, before we get into my top 5 lessons that I've learned from my experiences learning how to live stream and Jillian's suggestions, I want to ask you, the audience, for those of you who are here, are any of you new to live streaming? Go ahead and throw that in the comments. Are any of you either new to live streaming or have never live streamed before and are potentially interested in it? Go ahead and put the word new in the comments and we'll see. Interestingly, Pete, Gus, Sam, and Ralph are new to great. Well, I think you're going to learn a lot of great tips today, hopefully from me, but more importantly from Jillian, who's truly a master at this. Okay, with that, I'd like to go ahead and talk to you. I still forgot to do that. Damn it. I'd still like to talk to you. What I'd like to do now is talk to you about my top 5 lessons. The first lesson I learned as a LinkedIn novice, I'm LinkedIn Live novice, is to make a commitment. So we all know this. If you want to do anything meaningful in life, you need to make a commitment. It's different than being interested. If you're simply interested in something, you just do it whenever. But if you're truly committed to doing something, maybe it's running a marathon, going on a diet, getting in shape, maybe it's, getting a degree, all that takes a commitment. And the difference is that when you're committed, you schedule it and you make no excuses no matter what, and unless it's an absolute emergency, and you try to continually pursue your goal as you can. So I made a commitment back in late March, and I did 2 things. The first thing I did was create an Outlook meeting with myself online on my online calendar and just put Julie Savarino as the recipient and then put LinkedIn Live in the subject line, and I made that a recurring meeting once a week for the next 3 months. So that would pop up. Then when I had time, the second thing I did was I Googled it. We can all do this, especially with AI these days. I Googled how to live stream. Well, there is so much information out there. It's incredible. There's so many details and things to consider. And I really was overwhelmed. But even worse though, was that tons of these service providers are constantly trying to, sell you something. So, I wonder, Jillian, from your perspective, how long on average does it take to get up to speed on live stream? And what other advice in terms of making a commitment do you have for the audience? Okay, and then we have a comment coming in. Blah, 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 blah. The second key lesson I learned as a LinkedIn novice was basically to seek out an expert. Because I was so overwhelmed with everything I read online, I went on LinkedIn and looked up some of the key LinkedIn influencers and leaders on LinkedIn and LinkedIn experts that I knew. And I asked one of them, John Asperian, who should I use for this? And he said, Julie, I just had Jillian Whitney on my podcast the other day. Please, your eyes recommend her. So I got in touch with Jillian and I sent her a pretty copious email of all the questions that I had. And she was very kind to answer those without me even hiring her yet. But nevertheless, I want to turn it to Jillian now to say, what are the most, to ask Jillian, what are the most common hurdles and challenges and mistakes that novices make when they're just starting out in terms of LinkedIn Live? Jillian, you have a comment, blah, 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 blah. So the third thing I did as a LinkedIn novice, a LinkedIn Live novice, was, I obviously hired Jillian, and she and I had an hour-long session, and we practiced, and it's just incredible how she does her job. She's excellent at it. But then after that initial, basically, instruction course, I then took her advice to practice privately in dry run. Now, this is really where the rubber hits the road. I don't care what you're trying to master in life. Practicing is just critical, and repetition is what works. So Jillian actually taught me that there's two things you can do privately where nobody sees it. You can actually practice privately on YouTube using the StreamYard program that I use. But more importantly, the thing about the practice that I realized, because I've done so many webinars and spoke so many times and made so many presentations all over the world, I'm pretty good at the speaking part of it. But I'll tell you, the hardest part is continuing to present while also paying attention to the comments and responding to the comments and then using all these banners. So it's a lot of moving parts. So Jillian, can you speak to this and let us know what you think about the importance of practicing and anything else you have on this point? Yes, Jillian. By the way, for any of you who are interested, StreamYard does give a discount for those of you who want to get up to speed on LinkedIn Live and be live streaming through their platform. That's running down on the as a tickler on the bottom. So, what was the fourth thing I learned as a LinkedIn novice, a LinkedIn Live novice, LinkedIn Live novice? Well, the fourth thing I learned was the importance of creating a custom checklist. Well, Jillian graciously sent me one of hers, but for every single thing that you do in life, I mean, it's difficult in life, it has many moving parts. That checklist needs to be, basically tailored for you. So I used it in my learning process. What did I do? First, I read it several times. Secondly, I compared it to my old webinar checklists. I edited a ton. I practiced with it and made notes as I went and made iterations as I went. And I did this many, many times. I think about 15. And ultimately, I whittled it down to basically 4 pages. But I also did the same thing with the script I'm using for this live because obviously I have many nerves that it's my first one, and I wanted to make sure that I didn't make too many faux pas. Jillian, can you please talk about the importance of the checklist and any other tips you have on this subject? So the fifth and last lesson I learned, which is absolutely critical to being successful with live streaming, is involving the audience. Live streaming, the whole purpose of it is to involve your audience. It's really the main reason to do live streaming. But it's not easy to do. I don't know how many of you watch live streams, but my pet peeve is when there's poor lighting, the person presenting is slouching, they're not making eye contact. And that is really one of the toughest things, as I mentioned, is making the eye contact. But I did practice privately, and then I also did set up a private practice with several friends and had them throw a bunch of comments at me. Now, as you can see today, I'm stumbling on this a little because this is the first time I've done this other than my one practice with comments, but it is quite, challenging. The second thing I wanted to mention about involving the audience is you can actually do giveaways on StreamYard. Now, given that I am still a LinkedIn Live novice, I have not used that feature yet, but I plan to because it's really cool. I can give away my books and things. Jillian, can you please make comment and give some suggestions and advice on involving the audience? Okay, so what was my fifth and final lesson learned as a LinkedIn Live novice? Well, nope, that's not what I was going to say. Okay, so let's wrap this up because we like to keep these to about a half an hour. What are these top 5 lessons from a novice? Let's go through them. First is to make a commitment. You can't simply just be interested. Second is to seek out an expert. I highly recommend Jillian Whitney. Third is to practice privately and do dry runs and make a custom script. Fourth is to customize your own checklist. And fifth and finally is make sure to involve the audience. And I guess ongoing practice. Jillian also mentioned do. I hope all of you got some good tips on how to live stream and how to get into it and hurdles you can avoid, etc. Jillian and I both welcome any feedback, but I do want to say if you're not following Jillian Whitney on LinkedIn and on other social, I highly recommend you do so because she puts out some really helpful content. I want to thank Jillian so much. Thank you, Jillian, so much for doing this and for all your excellent guidance and instruction, and especially thank all of you, the audience. I hope everybody has a really great day. Thank you for attending my very first live stream ever.